Welcome to PUV Radio Show for everybody that's just coming in. We definitely appreciate you guys tuning in with us each and every Tuesday on Bliss FM.
Yes,
and if you haven't missed seeing our post tonight, we have a special guest. We have an author in the building tonight. Actually, we have a few titles. I don't know, man. And of course, as soon as I post your name, everybody, is he related to, is this? So you already know, went off. So we got a lot of questions. So is it just, do I introduce you as DM?
Lattisaw?
Yeah, DM Lattisaw.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have DM Lattisaw in the building.
Yes, sir. Ladies, if you want to call in and talk to DM Lattisaw, the call-in number is 202-652-0708. I'll show you the picture in a minute.
Bad motherfucker when people gotta call you by your first two.
I'll get right to say.
Bitch, my name DM.
Well, check this out. Your last name is Lattisaw, so that speaks volumes.
Right.
There's only a few Lattisaws out here, and if you are unfamiliar, you've been living under a rock. So if you could clarify while we have you right here, is there any relation to the great
Stacy Lattisaw?
To the great.
Yeah, Stacy Lattisaw is my second cousin. So her
second cousin
father and my grandfather are brothers. And I
Mm.
see her all the time. I just saw her. We actually had like a little family reunion at Run the Mills. We didn't know we was having it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, we ain't that ghetto. No. She was up there, and because when Stacy goes out, she always wears glasses. Because, you know, it's just people come up to her, so she wants her time. So when I bumped into her, she was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" And then she was like, "Where your mother at?" And then I got my mother. Then we found my uncle up there. So it just was like, damn, we got a family reunion up here today. But yeah, I see her all the time.
That's a whole nother story in itself. The relative of the great Stacy Lattisaw. But we'll touch on that as well. But like I said, we have DM Lattisaw in the building. He'll be talking about his book that is available now, correct? On Amazon.
Priceless.
Yeah. Where else is it available?
It's on Kindle and iTunes.
Okay, very nice.
Priceless.
So we'll get the specifics on that as we get a little bit further in depth with some of the issues that he actually discussed in the book, and we're going to actually touch on those from my standpoint. We'll have something to play off and have fun with because I know you're a little nervous and I'm just walking into you coming in.
Yeah,
But it's a good time, man. It's a good time. I'm going to put it to you like this. It's not going to be the same dry, dumbass bullshit. You know, like we want to know the core of what it is that you're pushing and who you are as an individual. You know?
Yeah, none of that. So, at what age did you start writing?
Oh, no.
I'm sure you've answered that 1,000 fucking times.
Yeah,
That's paid out. So it's actually an honor and a pleasure to have you. We haven't had an author here in a while, so for those illiterate motherfuckers, it's okay to pick up a book. It is okay. Actually, you should. I encourage you to pick up a book.
Reading is fundamental.
It's so fundamental, and
yes, sir.
It's good for the brain, so it's really dope to have you here, and I definitely appreciate you coming through tonight. You know, so this is gonna get fun, man. This is gonna get fun. So what we'll do is go into the first half of the Trey Pound mix. Oh, wait a minute. Am I early? Should we do our weekend recap? I'm sorry.
Weekend recap.
I'm excited because I'm gonna start talking about the book. Okay, so let's weekend recap. Let's talk about our weekend. Starting with you, Infamous. You was fresh off the boat.
Let me see. I spit records. You know, it was a motherfucking problem.
One record that made people dance.
I went in the overdrive this weekend.
Okay, wait a minute.
Saturday, I did my regular day job this week. Left the day job at a hall asked to live because I hosted the New Blood 2 concert for 48 fans and good people over at Reading Prime.
Nice.
So that was pretty dope. Left live, walked 2 blocks down U Street to my regular Saturday night situation. I was fucking exhausted when I got there, so I had to put that bat signal in the air. Put that bat signal in the air. Robin came flying down 295 in the Mustang. Did 60 minutes for me. Then, you know what? Saturday was interesting because people love, you know, their favorite song for the moment, and we've been in situations before where we've had people come to party and having the time to start throwing money to DJ. Or you got niggas that's flexing. Oh man, he goes, you know, some bread, shot my girl off for her birthday. But this one dude, and I hate to say it this way, but this is what makes the shit so funny.
Oh shit! Wait a minute. Was it that goddamn funny? It was that funny, Infamous.
The white dude was in the dog's party with us on Saturday, right? And it was about 2 o'clock. He came up to the booth. Trey was spinning at the time. He was like, "Hey man, I need you to play that Going Up in the Club on Tuesday." I was like, "Oh, you bet." And then he peels off a dub. to Trey. I said, Trey, play that shit right now. So Trey drops the record, right? He danced harder than anybody else. Like, he was cooking and all that shit, right? I'm like, play that shit again. Played it again, then we just went off from there. He just literally started throwing money in the DJ booth. I'm not talking about singles, I ain't talking about fast.
So like, as if y'all was the main attraction at the stadium.
Man.
Did y'all strip?
Man, Trey counted the money. He said, you know, bro, I just had a good night. I'm
Wait
out.
a minute.
Y'all ain't stripped though?
Pause. Okay. I've never in my life heard a sweet grown man making it rain in a DJ booth. Like, that's new to me. I'm not mad at it. I'm sure you guys want to go.
Fuck no. Come back. Hello. Come back. He had a ball. He's like, man, I got to come back. Man, I haven't had this much fun at a party in a long time. And he was like, yeah. Right, like he was one of them, but as soon as I got the club going up, as soon as that shit came on, he was.
See, I'd have to be like, hey partner, do me a favor, just put it in my pocket. Just put it in my pocket. You don't need to throw it in the air and all that.
Yeah, well, you know the dollars and glasses right here. So
I just sent Trey out to get the money or something. I don't know.
Why I gotta get Trey got that done.
So he don't want to go out the DJ booth to get the money, but he want to let it rain on top of his head. That don't make no sense.
They all end up in the same place.
You already know you can't feed into him.
You already know.
I ain't mad at y'all. How much did y'all get? $100?
We broke it like it was something like $60, but that's unheard of.
I try to give you that respect and I put that on blast. You know what I mean? For the world. But that's not a bad thing at all, you know.
No.
A dope look, you know. So we're here to talk about you tonight, and we're here to talk about your book, which is called Priceless.
Yeah, Priceless.
And for anybody that's unfamiliar, once again, can you let everybody know where they can find your book?
Yeah, it's on, you can get it on Amazon.com, it's on Kindle, if you have a Kindle, or you can download it to your iPhone, iPod, iPad, all of the Apple products through iTunes, anything, iTunes.
Nice.
Okay. Now, was this a self-publish or?
Yeah, I had to go self-publish because it was such a struggle in trying to, get what I want, my message across because of the different, the content.
Right.
So I just like, you know what? You're not gonna tell me no. I'm gonna go ahead and do it, and I did it. And now they're like, oh, we want to work with you after they see how massive, your project has become. So yeah.
Feels good though.
Yeah.
Because when you get to that point now, you can pick and choose. Like, nah, nigga. You know what I mean? Like, you played me 50 before. I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which brings the question, like, out of all the stories that you hear, because I'm sure it's a lot of stories about the black man's struggle, coming up in impoverished environments and stuff like that. How do you stand out? What makes your story different than the average story that we've already heard?
Yeah, well, my story, it's so real and so raw. It's talking about a number of issues in one, book. So, it's so many real situations, and because it's based on true events, some of the events I did embellish on, just so I can gain, I guess, a fan base or gain a following from the younger crowd. But it's so real and so raw, and also I incorporate a lot of spiritual inspiration in it as well. So you got that street, urban, thug, gangster, drug dealing, all types of stuff. But then at the end of the day, they on their knees praying because they're trying to get out of that. So that's the difference between my novel. It's not necessarily the traditional urban type, street novel in that, because of that. So
So basically, well, let me run off of what you kind of just put out there a little bit, because I don't want to give away your whole book. We want to encourage people to purchase your book that haven't read it already. We don't want to spoil it for anyone, but just off of the, I guess, the general inspiration for the novel, or in what direction were you going? Because you touch on a lot of specific issues, but how did you kind of run into each individual topic where it kind of meshed? You know what I mean? How did you put that together? Where did that come from in your direction, which you were going with your novel?
It came from people that I knew, family members, friends that just was like, we got to get our story out there. I would never name names, you know what I'm saying, because it's not about that. It's just about telling their testimony and what they've been through. So it was more so, family, friends, and just people sharing their stories and their struggles. And I'm like, dang, we have so many different things that we go through, and yeah, our valleys may be, you know, a little similar, but at the end of the day, you know, we gotta tell that stuff. And you know, I grew up in a household where what happens in this house stays in this house, but then we fall victims in our adult life because we're dealing with issues that we never resolved as children and adolescents.
So we're not used to talking.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. We can't talk, you know, it's like, I'm not telling her my damn business, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, but at the end of the day, we like, okay, when I got my team together and the people that I discussed, the real people, they were like, when they read it, they was like, man, it was like you was actually there in their situation. Like, I was actually there the way it transpired over, you know, me writing it. It was kind of like, dang, you told it exactly how it happened and I wasn't there. It's just them explaining what happened. So, it's a beautiful thing,
So you kind of put it in a story, you told a full story based on a bunch of different issues, real life issues. Kind of collaborated them all to make a story.
Yes, and all of the people, like, you'll have one character that goes through several things, but it may be two things that, well, it may be one thing that two people went through. So that one character has a whole lot of shit going on, but it's really in real life two separate people, right? And what connects it, the way I did it was all of the characters in the novel know each other in some type of way. So it's kind of like, okay, they know each other, they know about what's going on, and they all have this bond with one another. And so it's dope.
And was this your first actual novel that you published?
Yeah, this is the first. You know, I'm not. I put it in the first page. I want to say maybe the third page. I'm not, you know, scholar. You know, I didn't. I'm not an English major. You know, but I have a testimony, and other people have a testimony. So I wanted to tell that, and because, you know, it's so real, people connect with it. It's not for a brainiac to sit there and go line by line and say, oh, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. When people read it, they're like, man, you told my story, you don't even know me. So that's the benefit from it. The money is one thing, but when somebody comes to me and say, man, you told my story, I never knew you were there in my life, but you explained what I went through. And even though that fairy tale ending didn't happen for me, I connected with that character. So that's just, you know, it's a beautiful thing when people come to me. I don't know them. I'm still a regular dude. You know, I have fans, you know, but I'm on the train sometimes going to my 9 to 5, and people like, oh, you the guy that did you the author that wrote that book. Oh man, I couldn't put it down. You know, it was a page turner for me. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm blessed.
So it is safe to say that your novel is solely based on true stories.
It has some embellish. I did embellish on certain things. You know, I will say this, the first 3 chapters is mainly about my struggle. You know, my mom, somewhat of my father, my biological father. I didn't tell the whole thing. I embellished certain things. My father was not the character Sean. My father was not that damn crazy. He wouldn't do that, but he was crazy. But he wouldn't do the things that Sean did. But that was the inspiration for me to just write it. And I know it was a gift because, like I said, I'm not a acclaimed scholar. I don't have a degree. I went to school, but I didn't get a degree. But I know it's a gift because as I wrote it, it wasn't like I strategized. You know, this is what I'm gonna do. It just started flowing. It just was flowing like I'm a lyricist or something like that. It just started flowing out of me. And after I knew it, I was like down to like 200 pages, then 300 pages. I was like, okay, I gotta cut it off. But the first 3 chapters is basically about, you know, somewhat of my mom and dad and what they went through, and the conception of me and what I went through with my father. And it's almost true to exact, but I did embellish on certain things. And the rest of the book is it starts in like the 80s and the 90s, and then it goes into like the 2000s, and I cut it off in 2007. So the rest of the book is about just people as I progressed and got older, and then we sitting down talking and just having that moment to just reflect off of life. And I was like, you know what, we got to tell our story. So that's when I, you know, incorporated their stories in like chapter 4 through 10. So
You know, a key point that I thought was important that we touched on is the fact that you said that you actually sat down and wrote A lot of people don't understand the process of writing a book. A lot of people, a lot of authors have writers.
Yeah.
They have writers.
Yeah.
And they have people that put their stories together
Yeah.
for them. You literally wrote your own story.
Yes, yes, I wrote.
And that's
the whole
important.
thing.
That's
Yes.
very important.
No ghostwriter here.
Absolutely. No, but even yeah, I mean, but even
Yeah.
from the aspect of novel writers and people that write books, you know the process.
Yeah, yeah.
So being on the inside, you know that a lot of people, they have a story, but they have people that write it for them because they know how to portray it in a manner where people can visualize it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you actually wrote your own story.
I wrote the whole thing by myself. I didn't get anyone to edit it. I edited it myself. I wrote it myself. I published it myself. I did everything by myself, and
that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's I'm just
that's a really big deal.
Yeah, I did the whole thing by myself. Only thing I did, and I will shout him out because he did a phenomenal job, because I didn't want the cover to be, you know, that typical urban book where you got, you know, the chicks with their boobs out.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. I didn't want that. I wanted to be clean cut and classy, and I wanted it to. Because when you see novels like Push was the Precious movie, you wouldn't even know that all that was going on based on the cover.
Right.
You know, so, and another book, True to the Game, it just had dice on it. That was by Terry Woods. And that was one of the biggest urban novels that I read in my time growing up. It just had dice on it. So my book, it's the D.C. flag, and it's symbolic. It's white because it's a drug-related book. The flag is DC, so it's DC. The gold is the riches, and also it's substance. I won't name it, but it's a substance.
I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because now it makes sense, because I've seen it. So for people that haven't seen it, you know, if they actually take a glimpse at it now with a clear understanding of what everything means, it's not as plain as what it appears to be. That's dope. I like that. I like when people make you think. You know what I mean? Like, instead of doing this basic thing. Because I looked at it, and I definitely could recognize the DC flag. You know, you could recognize the stars and the stripes and all that stuff, but that makes a lot of sense.
Now when you
now that I'm because now it's setting in now. That's dope. That's what's up. So how long did it actually take you to complete the writing process of the novel?
That's a really good question. You know, I started writing when I was 20. I was living in Southeast by myself. I actually moved by myself at 18. So I was like, you know what? Let me start writing. So 2006, I came about. I was 20 years old, and I wrote all the way up to the 9th chapter, and I shelved it. I shelved the whole story. I put it on the shelf. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to put it out there, because I was like, you know, certain topics at that time in 2006, like it was like you couldn't even really talk about certain things and not be recognized in the industry, you know, because of what the topic that I'm talking about. So certain events that happened in my life, I added some things through from 2006 up until 2013. I added some things in there throughout the chapters, but the whole entire book up until the 9th chapter was, you know, at me at 20, and it's from a 20-year-old's perspective. So I'm 28 years old right now. Me reading the book now, it's like, damn, you was that intelligent or that mature at 20 to even speak or write about certain things like this.